Good evening and welcome to WANA Live, the reading series of the Writers Association of Northern Appalachia. I'm your host, Damian Dressick, and this is your other host,
Christina Fasonic. How is everybody tonight? How are you, Damian?
I'm well, thank you. I'm enjoying the nice cold weather.
Oh, you just say that because you know I hate the cold weather. It was -2 degrees this morning when I left my house.
I went out last night about 12:30 and looked around, and the sky was, they have radiational cooling, and the stars were very clear. It was lovely.
All I can think of is, why would you do that? I mean, I could see leaning out my bedroom window and looking up for a minute, but to actually fully immerse myself in the nature, no. Too cold. So
who do we have tonight? I know this is somebody with whom you have a personal connection. We're excited.
Yes, absolutely. So finally this summer, I mean, I have to say that COVID has been awful. There's no question about that. But there have been some good things that have come from it. And one of those things is that the Madwoman in the Attic series from Carlow University opened up, and maybe Sheila will correct me if it happened before that, but they opened up to a lot more women around the country because they could go Zoom and they could be virtual. And that meant that finally I could take a Madwoman workshop. And so tonight's reader was my teacher for my very first Madwoman workshop. She facilitated this awesome class in creative nonfiction, and I can't say enough good things. So let me introduce her. So Sheila L. Carter-Jones is the author of Three Birds Deep, selected by Elizabeth Alexander as the 2012 winner of the Naomi Long Madgett Poetry Book Award, and the chapbook Blackberry Cobbler Song. Her chapbook Crooked Star Dream Book was named honorable mention for the 2013 New York Center for Book Arts Chapbook Contest. She is a fellow of Cave Canem, Callaloo Creative Writing Workshop, and a Walter Dakin Fellow of the 2015 Sewanee Writers Conference. Sheila holds an MFA from Carlow University and currently facilitates writing in their Madwoman in the Attic program. Let's bring Sheila on the show. Sheila!
Good evening.
Hi, thank you so much, Damian and Christina. Thank you so much for this opportunity. This is fantastic. I thought I would read about maybe 3 or 4 poems and give a little background first for the first poem called Used Slippers.
All right, we're going to disappear.
Okay. So we're going to go away and let everybody concentrate on you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm going to go again. So this first poem, Used Slippers, I wrote it, my mother, I should say, did domestic work, which means that she went to rich people's homes and cleaned and cooked and kind of took care of their children and, did those kinds of things. So, and on occasion, the rich woman would give my mother things that she had used and she didn't need them anymore, didn't want them. So this first poem is called Used Slippers. Let me make sure you can hear me. Used slippers. When the rich lady she cleaned for handed her a tattered pair of slippers, my mother smiled, said she could get some use out of them, claimed she loved pink. Even though they were too big and her feet would never grow into them, she danced across linoleum as if in a ballroom far from our small kitchen, away from task, chipped saucers, and cracked cups, from scraping food off my plate onto hers to not waste a bit. I didn't get dreamy-eyed over those slippers. I wanted to tear the marabou feathers off one by one as she danced in them holding a chicken wing, stretched apart and hanging over the palm of her hand. Like a crispy string of pearls drooping, she plucked slivers of sinewy meat, and when she held up a cleaned bone, it showed how we straddled the edge of poor. And though I did not starve to death, I was filled with light from a 40-watt bulb, shining on a solo woman, two-stepping between rhythms of contradictions. She is gone 20 years now, and I am locked down under threat of disease, even death. Honestly, I don't want to die. Think, if not me, who then will say how she taught me to dance alone under a brief light, like a firefly flashing in the dark, my small hand reaching up to catch the glow. And my second poem, as in the 1960s, actually coming again by 1965. My dad was beaten by cops and abducted, basically, to a state hospital for the criminally insane. And this was right before the voting rights law or bill was passed into law. So therefore, he did not have a vote, and because he couldn't vote, he was kind of held in a hospital for the criminally insane. And so this one is how I kind of came to or dealt with it, this kind of trauma, in my life as a young child, as a teenager. So this one is called Leaving a Small House for College, Knowing What I Have Already Learned. The epigraph is, this is 3 years after my father was beaten and abducted to a state hospital for the criminal insane. Here in the bucket seat of my brother's new Mustang, my mother on the porch waving goodbye. I see smoke from her cigarette float up. I'm already lightheaded. Try to catch my breath, make sense of silences that have sheltered me for 3 years. I'm pulling away from nights the black radio station played hits from Motown. There was always music. Dance contest in the living room, girls against boys, the Supremes challenging the Temptations. I was a fragile Diana Ross, skinny girl with a wide open mouth, Ronrico rum thinning my voice to a high-strung vibrato. I wanted to be numb. It didn't matter if later I stumbled or crawled to the bathroom, wrenched up the note by note the music, slept so hard I forgot how madly I danced in the darkness that drove me. I didn't know where I was going, only that I wanted to get to what is next. I waved back. Can she see me? Or did she stop seeing me years before as we ate in silence at the kitchen table, where in the measured quiet I pictured my father not gone, blessing the food, head bowed, his voice extended in prayer, me pretending meekness when I whispered my verse, Jesus wept. I don't cry that I carry silence with me, have thrown it into mismatched suitcases, and will wear it like old underwear to all my college classes. Nobody needs to see what has sobered me, what I carry underneath. And then as fate would have it, there was, in my hometown, there was a little, I don't know what they call it. There wasn't a beauty contest, but they may have a Miss Indiana Township. And I was not going to enter that thing for anything. And I used to watch the Little League kids, boys play baseball, but I was the only girl, so all I could do was watch. And then the coach one day, and I was the only African-American girl, and the coach, who was white, one day said, "You should enter this contest." And I thought, "Oh no, I'm not. I'm just not doing that." And he entered me. So because he was so warm-hearted and he did that, I kind of had to participate. And interesting enough, I was the only African-American girl in the contest, and I won, which was whatever it was, I did it. So this is called the Redress of American Beauty. That cube-shaped four-room structure on Lincoln Drive, the black dirt road that curves, not without the bend, the backs of men and women, calloused hands softened by the steady shine of stars, flakes of carbon bodies perfectly aligned in black space, could be called glimmers. By another name, children. And when I grew up to be a teacher, my parents were happy the way relentless rays bear down on the body, permeate, fuse with a deeper dust beyond the bony dump of cinders and ashes. I wish you could have seen their faces, how the violet's slender stem offered up its purple petal flora, emanated an aura, and further back in the woods, fauna, in time before I taught. I was announced township queen. An aluminum tiara was fixed on my head. Plastic crystals dangled like light prismed in translucent hardness. At the right angle, I saw rainbows. From another angle, streaks of light did not arc into colors. White one said, Black beauty. No compliment. Anger has its pinch. On the front yard trellis, what rose, what red rose, doesn't appreciate thorns spiking its stem, prickly and curl-tipped. Protectors that guarantee survival of the wiles of humans and other animals. So you can imagine the other contestants' ire when their intent was exposed, how weedy they appeared when asked, what is the most important thing our society needs? And each girl bared more teeth than the one before she replied, something about world peace. And then my last poem I'm going to read was for many years, I used to go for a month up in the mountains of New Mexico and rent a house. And one day, this bird kept flying into the glass window of the living room. And obviously, it was seeing its shadow and trying to get in at itself. So this last piece is called A Small Sacrifice. Again and again, the house finch barrels its body headfirst into the living room window, keeps up its frantic flight until the fourth plunk sends the small thing crashing to the porch. I watch it for a while before getting on with calling the snap peas. The finch is either dead or unconscious. I look intently for a few minutes, hoping to detect the slight flutter of a feather. Nothing. After an hour, I check, and there it lay, still. I began to question the time it takes for a bird to die from crashing into its own reflection, attracted to the hunger it sees inside itself that makes it want to get at that faceless dark body. When I peer again, I feel a twitch of pity growing inside the space in which I see myself. I can spare a bit for a kindred life, trying so hard to get to the inside, to fly into spaces where I am seen only as an image. The common house finch lay quiet and unknowable, reminding me how silent hurt can be, how it can lay stiff and fragile bones. All night I dream of the bird, how cute it is. Wonder if it will be here in the morning, or will it have come to its senses, flown away into the madness of branches? Or will a dark predator, an owl, a nighthawk, or a prowling cat have found delicious the small mouthful of desperation with which the bird struggled to be at one with itself, then falling together with its image, landing in one thud, teaching what one gives up to belong. Thank you.
Wow, that was wonderful. That was, it's funny when doing the show for a couple of years now. One of the things that I usually know the work of the people that we have on, and Christina has said such wonderful things about you as a mentor over the last bunch of time, and she's talked a lot about how you helped her become a stronger writer in the realm of nonfiction. But I wasn't familiar with your work, so I feel almost a little bit like an audience member, where like the show's bringing something new to me. I what a wonderful set of poems. I love that. Yeah, I love the way that your excavations of the past, particularly the first two poems, were both is so immediate and so textured, and that natural movement between the harrowing and the homey. There was really something just utterly delicious about the linguistic business going on there. Thank you.
Thank you. It's I've gotten to the point, I guess now, where I'm really fighting for that, not just the image, but the words and the sound of those words that move into making an emotion kind of sense of things. Not necessarily the motion itself, but a sense of it, so that it's not just mine, that it's out there, and hopefully people can grasp that. I've just been really trying hard to do that.
These were really, really beautiful, Sheila. I mean, really. And I was listening so intently and trying to take notes, but I stopped. What is the line when you say how we straddle it was from the first
Oh, yeah.
that pulled at me, because as a kid who was poor, I always felt like, no, we didn't starve.
No, we
But
didn't.
there wasn't you would never call us well off or comfortable.
Oh, true enough.
I love that line, that idea of straddling this, because that's how it felt. And I'm sure that's how it felt to you, that always walking that uncomfortable line of never being able to completely stop and settle in, because there's always that straddle.
There, you know what? There is always that straddle, and it's not just with food, but it's also with color. Like, you know, just African American, always trying to straddle, you know, kind of with the small bird, you know, always trying to, you know, get at that insideness, that kind of you think that you need that kind of sense, but it's just an image. It's just a fragment of a shadow. And it's but at least for me, I think in this society we've been kind of trained to see to go for the shadow instead of the essence of the thing or the being or the object. And so that I think that kind of straddling, you know, I feel like I'm doing that in all of my poems, whether it's you know, straddling the edge of poor, or straddling a job, or straddling this, but it's always trying to find a balance where I can, you know, at least take a next step, to straddle again.
Yeah, or to take a breath.
Yeah, exactly.
To move. I kept thinking, though, that most people in our audience have to be wondering what I am. Was the bird there in the morning? I want to know. I care so deeply. You made me care about the bird.
Yeah, well, the bird, I got really involved with the bird, to tell the truth.
Yeah.
It did die. It was there in the morning.
Oh.
I picked it up in a napkin, and I went out into a part of the yard, like a field, sand and grassy part, and I dug a hole, and I buried it, and I put a rock on top so that when I came back the following year, I would know where the bird, you know, where the body of the bird, you know, was placed, and just go there and, you know, offer whatever to a small being.
Yeah, you said in the poem that, you know, you have enough to give, some compassion, some empathy.
Yeah.
This life that had tried so hard.
It was trying really hard.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it was like really beak against glass.
Wow. And so determined.
Yes.
And for what? I mean, and that's the way life is too. We're always chasing that shadow that you talk about, and we miss all the good stuff.
Right.
It's right there in front that we could have for this thing that we can't ever have.
Right.
Oh, what a great reading. Oh, I loved every word. It was fantastic. And I'm not the only one. Damien, do you see all this commentary we've got going on over here? You're muted.
Oh, hit the wrong button. Yeah, we got
back.
Rusty Barnes is the editor. Rusty Barnes is saying powerful poems.
Oh, thank you.
And we've got Bart is telling, he's a regular viewer, a very enjoyable reading.
Thank you.
Patricia Thrushhart is telling us that the hunger it sees inside itself, how haunting. So,
wow, thank you.
And Ellen Wright, thank you for this reading. And she goes on to say the language is rich and powerful. And I have to agree with Ellen there. What things that I want to show a part of this to my students, because I think you're so precise with language. There's really something I want to say, look, this is what somebody who knows what they're doing does.
Who's trying to know what they're doing.
Well, you do it well, Sheila. This was just absolutely enjoyable.
What?
Are you working on any new projects right now?
Well, I am. Well, actually, these are some of maybe a couple are part of my new manuscript. And so what I'm doing now, what we were doing in the Madwoman class, it was hybrid memoir. So I'm adding, pictures now. Not a lot, but just enough, to kind of like turn the page and get a visual and keep going and get another visual. And one of the things I found was a picture of my dad when he was maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 years old.
Oh.
And we don't have any other picture of my dad when he was a child. And the next picture is a young man of him and my mother getting married or being married. So all that space in between.
That itself is a poem.
Oh, I have it.
Do you have it there with you?
Yeah, it's a whole story. Yeah, I do. But yeah.
Oh, wonderful. I cannot wait. I can't wait. I know we'll all get a big email blast telling us that this book is out and it's awesome. And I cannot wait to see what you do and how that collection comes together. Thank you, Sheila, for everything that you do for the Madwoman and all of us women who've participated and benefited from your totally kind and uplifting comments and all those things. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me. This was great. I appreciate it so much. Thank you. Nice to meet you, Damien.
Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for making time to come on the show. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
And we should add, this is a special surprise that Sheila does not know about yet. But March on WANA Live is Mad Women Month. All Mad Women every Thursday night. Yes.
Oh, man, wow.
So we are doing our part to contribute to the March Madness.
Yes, with March Mad Women.
Oh, this is great. This is
so
great.
Everybody tune in, okay?
Right, exactly.
We'll see you later. Thank you, Sheila. Good night, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. See you next week.
See you Thursday.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you.